Hey everyone, Katrina from ecomaine here for one more virtual tour about where does your recycling go. If you're one of our towns that gives us just recycling, then this is the one for you. Here comes PowerPoint. The journey of your recycling. To start off with, if you are a town that only gives us trash, we have another webinar for you. It's on ecomaine.org under tours and outreach information. You can also email us at info@ecomaine.org, info@ecomaine.org, and we can direct you to anything you need. We got a lot of really fun resources on there just in case you happen to be stuck inside, not able to go to school right now. So this is your recycling only virtual tour. We have a trash only virtual tour, and then we actually have both because a lot of towns give us both trash and recycling. So all three of these will be on the website really, really soon, which is very exciting. Let's start with a map. A map of where we are down here in Portland. This is where our facility is. We have 70 towns total for about 400,000 friends who give us trash and or recycling. So I'd just like to show that because we have a wide array of places that give us material. So what is that material? What are we throwing out every day? Well, sometimes we're throwing away trash like chip bags and straws and plastic forks. Sometimes we're throwing away gum, diapers, all kinds of just stuff that we consider just trash. And then we're also throwing away food. So things like your banana peels and your clementine peels. Maybe a piece of sandwich fell on the floor. Maybe your broccoli went bad in your refrigerator. Those are things that we can compost if we have the opportunity, which is wonderful. So we're throwing away food sometimes. We're also throwing away recyclables, the paper, the plastic, the metal, the glass, and the cardboard. Those 5 types of things are what we can recycle, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And then unfortunately, sometimes we happen to throw away in the trash or the recycling bin some things that could be reused. We see a lot of stuff that's reusable in the recycling bins and the trash cans day to day. So if you can ever, definitely please give things away that you don't want anymore that are still good. So maybe you don't like your sweater or your shoes don't fit anymore, or maybe you've read a book 100 times and it's just not your favorite anymore. All kinds of stuff that we, when we're cleaning our house and we say, well, I don't want this anymore, I'm gonna throw it away. How about you don't want it anymore, let's try and give it away if it's still something good. Of course, the Goodwills and the Salvation Armies and the yard sales and your little brother of the world, they don't want your trash, but they want things that someone else can still use. So these are the types of things that we throw away. And does it all go in one bin? Do we put everything in the trash? Do we put everything in the recycling bin? Do we put everything in the compost bin? Or do we give everything to Goodwill or Salvation Army? No, because the recycling bin doesn't want your dirty diaper. Goodwill doesn't want your banana peel, and on and on. So there's definitely some things that we need to think about. And the first one is to reduce. To reduce means to use less stuff first. So think about when you're washing your hands. Can you turn the water off in between when you're actually getting those hands clean? Same with your teeth brushing. Can you turn the water off when you're not using the water to wet and then wash your toothbrush? And paper towels, do you need 7 paper towels to dry those hands, or do you just need 1 or 2 or 3? And then also it comes time when you're going out for coffee. Do you need to get a cup like this, or can you get, bring your own, which is really great. So just thinking about little changes here and there to reduce or use less stuff first. It can also be really neat to think about whenever you're buying things for your lunch boxes. So a lot of times chips come in little bags that are super convenient. You just put that tiny bag in your lunch box and you go off to work or school or anywhere else, and you have your little bitty snack pack of chips or Oreos or Goldfish or whatever it is. But could you buy a bigger one instead and then put that in a refillable container so you can have that and just use that again and wash it out, use it again and wash it out, instead of all that plastic just being thrown out all the time. So another thing to think about as far as reducing goes. The next one is to reuse. Can we use something again? To reuse it means to use it again. I did mention this guy. Sometimes I bring that with water. Sometimes I bring this to the coffee shop. If I'm making a smoothie, sometimes I like to use a metal straw. I like to bring my own set of silverware around wherever I go so that I don't have to use a disposable plastic spoon, fork, or knife. I also like to bring my own bags to the grocery store. So can you bring your own bag to the grocery store? And of course you will need to wash it now and then, especially if you put meat or other things that are in the bag that could hurt other materials later on. So wash those bags, but bring your own to the grocery store. Those are all really great ways to reuse different things. And of course you can reuse your sweater that you don't like anymore, that book that you don't want to read anymore, by giving those away. And therefore maybe you're not reusing them, but someone else is, which is really, really neat. So try and reduce and reuse first, and then recycle is the next one. So what do you think it means to recycle? Recycling is taking one thing, like a milk jug, putting it in your recycling bin, and it goes off to make something brand new, like plastic lumber. So this is kind of really neat material. It's milk jugs that have been washed, dried, melted down, and then formed into different types of molds. And this type of mold made some benches and some chairs, and this was just a piece that was left over from that. But there's also molds out there that can make playground. I'll show you a really neat picture of that later. But to ruin the surprise, if you've ever been to Willard Beach in South Portland, that playground is made out of a lot of recycled material, which is pretty incredible. So recycle next, that way you're turning one thing into a new thing. And then compost is next. So compost is your orange peels, your banana peels, your apple cores, the piece of sandwich that fell on the ground, the broccoli or the lettuce that went bad in your fridge. All those things that you can't eat or don't want to eat can go in the compost bin. Now, there are subscription services for compost. Maybe someone picks it up and takes it to their company to compost. You can have a backyard compost system. You can also compost with worms, which is pretty incredible. It's called vermicomposting. You can look that up. You can do right inside your house. You can put it in your closet or in your basement, and it's a big bin of worms. And of course, they can't get out. And it's really cool to compost your food if you can. And that way, we're not putting it into the trash, which we call it ecomaine, waste to energy. So we actually take trash and we combust it or burn it at around 2000 degrees and make that a lot of trash, 100%, into 10% or so ash. And this stuff goes to the landfill instead of all of this going to the landfill, which is pretty incredible. We also make a lot of electricity off of the trash, and we use that to power our buildings on our 2 electric cars, and then we also send it out to the grid so that more people, about 15,000 homes worth of people, can use electricity made from trash. And then the last one is a landfill. We want to make sure that we fill up that landfill really, 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 really slowly instead of really fast, because it costs a lot of money to maintain a landfill. It costs a lot of money to close and then open a new landfill. And plus, why would we want to take up valuable space on our earth with trash when we could be reducing, reusing, recycling, and composting, and making sure those materials either aren't used in the first place or are used again in a really beautiful way. So that's our waste hierarchy. Here's some fun examples. We talked about the bringing your own bags. We talked about bringing your own water bottle, even your own coffee cup or smoothie cup or hot chocolate cup. We mentioned bringing your own containers when we were talking about the chips, but of course putting your sandwich in there, your grapes, whatever you bring to lunch every day, and then bringing them home, washing them out, and then using them again. Your fun reusable straws, they make silicone ones, bamboo ones, metal ones. Of course, you'll have to wash them, but that means you never have to use a plastic straw again, because those plastic straws are trash. They are not recyclable, unfortunately. And then, of course, trying to think about being mindful at the grocery store. You know, do you need to buy stuff wrapped in a bunch of plastic, or can you buy things, loosen and wash them really well at home? Just to be mindful of using less material, less packaging in general, if you can. And then some fun examples over here. This is a mailbox made out of old license plates, and this is a garden like this, up and down instead of sideways, made out of old soda bottles. So fun stuff there. And then of course we want to recycle, because conservation is so important. So let's look at this little picture here and think about paper and where it comes from. Well, we have to go and cut down some trees, put them on a truck, bring them to the facility to make the paper, put it in the trash can. Let's pretend when we're done with the paper, we put it in the trash can. The truck's gonna pick it up and it's gonna go to the landfill and it's just going to be gone. It's not going to get to use anything ever again. So we want to try and make sure that we put recycling in the recycling bin. So let's look at the bottom here. The trees, sometimes we do have to cut them down to make more paper, and it goes off to the paper making facility. It comes to us, we use it in whatever way we'd like, and let's pretend we put that paper in the trash can. So then it goes off to make new paper, comes back to us in some way or another. We use it, we recycle it, goes off to make new paper, comes back to us, we use it, recycle it over and over again. So isn't that neat? So instead of going all the way over here, like we did up here, we constantly had to come back to the forest, get some more trees, make more paper. We are recycling and therefore saving resources and keeping things from going in the trash. Same idea with metal. We have to get this from underground. So that means cutting down trees, blowing up the earth, removing the metal, refining it. It's a whole big issue, a whole big process. It's very unsafe and very expensive. And of course, the same thing with plastic. We get plastic from oil, which is a petroleum product. So we have to get that from underground. So again, drilling, which is also very dangerous for the environment and very unsafe for the animals that live there. And it's not very cheap either. It's very expensive. So we want to try and reduce, reuse, and recycle whenever we can. So speaking of recycling, what in the world can we recycle? Let's talk about that. Anything from your cardboard. You want your pizza boxes to be relatively clean. If they have a couple spots on them, that's absolutely fine. If it's super greasy and gross, you can tear off the top and give that to us. You can compost the bottom if you have that option, or it can go in the trash. But pizza boxes and all boxes, whether it's from your shoebox, maybe you got a box in the mail, maybe you moved to a new house or apartment, all that cardboard can come to us. We take all your paperboard type things, so any kind of thin cardboard or thick paper. Here's some nice cereal boxes, granola bar boxes, really any box, as long as it's emptied out. You know, we don't want your leftover cereal in the recycling bin. Things like your egg cartons, absolutely great to recycle. We take the plastic ones too, but not the styrofoam ones. So if you have some that's really, really light and it's kind of foamy, it's got a number 6 on the bottom, that is going to be trash because styrofoam is not recyclable here in Maine. I wish it was, but it's just not. So cardboard and plastic ones, good to recycle. We also take things like your milk and orange containers, even your soup in a box, wine in a box, broth in a box, all those things we take to recycle perfectly. And then things like your coffee cups, because they are paper, they have what we call a poly coating on them, and ecomaine can take them. Not every place to recycle will take them, but ecomaine towns can send it your coffee cups. Make sure they're empty. We don't want your coffee in there to be recycled. We also take all your paper from your junk mail to your magazines, to your fun construction paper that you're done drawing and coloring on. Our rule of paper is if it rips, we can take it. If it doesn't rip, that means it's coated in plastic and we just can't take it. So the rule of paper is if it rips, we can accept it in the recycling bin. Another kind of rule is that it has to be bigger than your palm or around the size of a Post-it or bigger, because if you had a note and you tore up really, really small into tiny pieces, all those pieces would just fall through. We couldn't possibly recycle that because there'd just be no way to do it. So make sure any paper you give us is around like your palm size or your Post-it note size. As far as metals go, we take everything from the tops, the lids of your spaghetti sauce and your jam and your mayonnaise jars, things like that. We take the room spray, the hairspray, the spray paint, all those cans. Again, we want them empty. We don't want that blowing up everywhere. We want your soup cans or corn cans, bean cans, any cans like that, as well as any aluminum foil, whether it's a pie plate or the aluminum foil that you wrapped your sandwich or your pizza or your bagel in. So all those metals are great to recycle. What we don't want are screws and nails and big pieces of metal and teeny tiny little pieces of metal. That kind of stuff can go to a place called Riverside Recycling in Portland, or if you have a transfer station with a metal bin nearby you, that's where your kind of inappropriate metals can go, whether they're way too big or way too small. The next one are things like glass. We want your glass containers. So this one had honey in it, but of course you can also recycle things like your spaghetti sauce jars, or jam jars, or mayonnaise jars. All those are wonderful to recycle. And we actually take it and we break it and we turn it into recycled countertops. So that's pretty neat. We recycle the glass, or we reuse the glass in the countertops. And we do that by smashing it. I'll talk about that later. And then finally, the plastics. That can be kind of confusing sometimes here and there, but we take your plastics number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So all the huge array of plastics that you and I use every day. Usually we use 1s and 2s, but the 3 through 7s are also very much used too. And that's things like your drinking cup, no straw please, your gelato container, your milk jug, your shampoo bottle, and then of course things like your yogurt cup and many other things like that too. When you recycle plastic with us, it has to be a container of some kind, meaning this used to hold shampoo, this used to hold milk, this used to hold a smoothie or iced coffee or iced tea, and this used to hold gelato before I ate it. So trivia question here. Is this coffee cup lid recyclable? Is it a container? Does it hold anything in the lid? If you said no, you're right, because even though it's a great piece of plastic and it has a number 5 on it, it's just not recyclable because it's not a container. So anything you give to ecomaine has to be a container, has to be rigid, and it has to have a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 on it. So that coffee cup lid is rigid, meaning it has a shape to it, and it has a number 5 on it, sorry, but it's just not a container. Another example is, I've got a bag here. Can I squish it on my hand? Yes. My cup. I can squeeze it, but I can't squish it. So this means this has a rigidity or rigidness to it, while this does not. There's no real shape to it. It does have, however, a number on it, number 2. So even though it's a bag, that it has a recycling symbol on it does not mean that we can take it in the recycling bin. And that's because it gets stuck in our equipment. We call them our rubber stars, and it causes a big mess in our facility. Plus, we also can't sell this once it goes through our building to go off and make something new. But the great news is you can take your, what we call plastic films, to the grocery stores, your produce bags, your bread bags, your grocery store bags, even bubble wrap that you get in the mail and air pockets you get in the mail. If you have a lot of paper towels or toilet paper, or maybe even you bought a new couch, all that wrapping around it can go in the bins at the grocery store. And it's places like Hannaford's, Shaw's, Walmart, Target, Whole Foods, places like that. Plasticfilmrecycling.org is a great website for you to check out. You can type in your zip code and it will tell you all the stores, and it goes off to make something really neat called decking, among other things. It can also make benches and other cool things, but this is from a company called Trex Decking, and it's made out of your plastic films as well as some sawdust. So really neat, really fun product. It's made out of recyclables. So do we have 5 different bins for all this stuff to go into, or does it go in one bin? With ecomaine, it goes in one bin. We're a single sort recycling facility, meaning you just have to think, do I put it in the trash can or do I put it in the recycling bin? When you put them together, when you put the trash in the recycling bin, it causes a big, big problem for us. So please make sure you're only giving us the good stuff that's recyclable and not the bad stuff that's trash. So how does it all work? Well, you make recycling at your house, your school, your work, your grocery store. You go to the movie theater and you recycle something. Anywhere you go in an ecomaine town, it comes to us by way of a big, big truck. So the truck picks it up and drives it to us, and he dumps it off inside our building. And then this yellow guy, he's called a front loader, he pushes it up, and let's watch a video of that. So that front loader is now pushing all the cardboard, paper, plastic, metal, and glass up onto an upper level. And there's a conveyor belt that runs underneath all the recycling. And that conveyor belt helps actually move all the recycling up a hill. And there's a human at the top of that hill, and he's actually, his or her job is to pick out any trash or non-recyclables. So he's picking out anything from garden hoses to propane tanks to just anything that, big bags of trash that's not recyclable. So it's a big job. But remember, it's your job at home to put the right thing in the recycling bin first And that's our job, just kind of double check you. So once it goes up that hill and past that person, it falls down into an area that's probably, I don't know, 10 feet wide maybe. And it's got in there these giant rubber stars. You might see one here, here, and here, and here. So those stars are enormous. And they are spinning on what we call an axle or a line. So as the stars spin around, it actually helps the cardboard go up and over, and everything else fall down through and go a different way. So you've got cardboard going one way and paper, plastic, metal, glass going the other way. Just see things going over, and look at that. Did you see that big bag of trash? There's a big bag of trash that went up and over. So now a human's gonna have to pull that trash out and throw it away for you. So make sure you're only giving us the good stuff. And you might notice that there's some stuff stuck in those stars too. That's when we get the bad stuff. We call them tanglers, or things that get stuck or tangled in the stars. So we don't want anything like that. Remember, we just want your paper, plastic, metal, glass, and cardboard. So cardboard's gone. We've taken it out right away. Everything else went the other way. It went through a room where humans were picking out any cardboard that was left behind. Maybe it was too small to go up and over and it fell through, throwing it downstairs with the other cardboard. They're also taking out any trash. Ugh. They put that downstairs with the trash. They do that with their hands because there's no machine that can pick out all the trash. So humans have to do it with their hands. So everything now comes to what we're looking at now. And this is the paper being taken out by these small rubber stars. It's hard to see, but they're all here. There's one here, 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 here. There's about 300 of them on 2 different levels like this. This is the bottom level we're looking at. And it's just showing you that the paper goes up and over. And again, the glass, metal, and plastic falls through and goes a different way. Paper is one way, glass, metal, and plastic the other way. So the cardboard and the paper are taken out by these rubber stars. And what we're looking at right now is a big mess. We're looking at a lot of tanglers stuck in the stars. Really the only colors you should see here are black, because that's what color the rubber stars are, and kind of like a brownish gray color, because that's what color the axles are that the stars are spinning around. But instead you see every color, because that's all the junk stuck in there. And whenever it gets to be like this, can the glass, metal, and plastic fall through, or does everything go with the paper? If you said everything goes with the paper, you were right. And when that happens, we actually have to stop the machine and lock it and put a lock on that lock and make sure everybody's safe. And humans have to climb in there and cut everything out by hand with scissors and box cutters and things like that. So tanglers are pretty much the worst. It's a little scary and not very fun. So make sure you're only putting the good stuff in there, because we see everything in here from shirts to tinsel. Maybe that's from a Christmas tree. Looks like some ribbon over here, and then just a lot of bags. Sometimes we get shower curtains, sometimes we get garden hoses, Christmas lights, all this stuff gets stuck, and we don't want those things. So make sure that everything's going in its proper place. If you ever have questions on where things go, you can check out our own list online at ecomaine.org. You can always email us at info@ecomaine.org. And also, way more fun, there's an app that we created called the Recyclopedia. And you can go on there. It's a free download on your smartphone. You can type in your question. I've got this thing. What do I do with this thing? You can look it up, whether it's a hockey puck, a piece of gum, a spray bottle, a shoe, a dog leash. All kinds of stuff is in there for you. About 1,200 or more items, and we're always adding every day. So when in doubt, definitely look it up. Of course, humans play a really important role in our facility. You just saw that they were cutting out all the bags and things, but here they're also picking out the cardboard as well as picking out the trash. So in this room, that's where it goes into 2 different bins. So the next thing is taken out is the metal. We've got 2 different types of metals that we use every day, and they're ferrous and non-ferrous. If you've never heard those words, that just means, can it attract to a regular magnet? Think about grabbing a magnet off your refrigerator. If you took your soup can and you attached it, well, you could hang that magnet off and it wouldn't fall off. That's what's happening here. A magnet's grabbing the cans and throwing it in a bin. Grabbing and throwing, grabbing and throwing. That's the ferrous stuff. That's things with steel or tin in it. So it's being grabbed by the magnet. But not everything can be grabbed by that regular magnet. So we have our non-ferrous stuff, like our aluminum. If you were to take that same magnet and attach it, it would fall off every single time because it just will not attach to non-ferrous material. So this here is actually being pushed away by a reverse eddy current magnet, and everything else falls just straight down. So aluminum goes up and over, everything else falls down and goes to the side to be sorted more. So pretty cool stuff. 2 different types of metals taken out by 2 different types of magnets. Next up, we take that glass and we break it, which is really cool. We do it inside of a safe room. That's why I don't have a video of it, because imagine glass breaking and flying everywhere. It wouldn't be very safe to have a video camera pointing at it. So we take that glass and we break it, and then we turn it into new things like countertops. It also fills in potholes. It also goes under new buildings to be a filler. So instead of the building being sideways, it's nice and filled in underneath, and it's nice and safe to be in. So really cool filler is made from your recycled glass. And then finally, the plastics are taken out. And this is done by a machine that is reading the chemical makeup, or what the plastics are made out of. And it can tell the difference between a number 1 and a number 2, number 1 and a number 3, number 1 and number 7 by going like this. It just blows. So look at things flying upwards, like that one, and that one, and that one. So what happens there, remember, is that the machine is reading it, and it's seeing what the plastic is made out of. It's not looking at the number on the bottom, it's actually looking at the plastic itself. When it sees the number 1, it follows it, sends a puff of air at it. When it sees another number 1, it puff of air, another one, all day long. It has a 96% accuracy rating, meaning it gets 96 out of 100 things right. And it can't see things like number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, because we've actually set the machine to say only see number 1. And that's what gets sorted, which is pretty cool. Everything else is sorted by humans in the next room. So we're sorting out the number 2 natural colors. So that's things like your milk jugs. It's almost clear, but not quite. We're sorting out the number 2 colored, which are things like your laundry detergent bins, or jugs rather. They can be white, pink, purple, orange, red, blue, whatever. As long as it's a number 2 and it's got a color to it, it goes in the next bin. And then number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 go in the last bin, and that stuff gets all sent out together. So our 7 different types of plastic gets sorted into 4 different types of containers. And so finally, we've sorted everything out, and this whole process takes around 3 minutes or less. It took me a lot longer to talk about it than it did for it actually to be sorted, because it's a very, very quick process. And whenever we have sorted things into their own bin and that bin fills up, then we have to squish it together and bale it, meaning we wrap it with wire, and then we're going to look at it, inspect it, and make sure that everything is good. And we don't have a lot of junk sticking out of it. We don't want a big messy bale, do we? Because the people who buy our stuff from us, they don't want to buy junk. They want to buy good things. So someone is down here on the floor. This is Richard, and he's turning it over to look to make sure if he can see it and it's junk, he's going to pull it out, which is what he's doing right now. Check it out. Sometimes it's tricky. So if he sees a ton of stuff on the outside, he's going to actually pick it up, bring it around front, cut the wire open, and send it all through again. But if he only sees a couple things, he'll pick them off and then send them either to the place outside where they sit, or onto a truck, which is just so happened to be waiting for this video. So he's going to put it on a truck, and typically our cardboard goes to New York or Massachusetts or Quebec. Our metals tend to go to Pennsylvania. Our plastics sometimes go to Alabama, Michigan, or Georgia. Our glass stays right here in the Portland area, and it's picked up for free. And then our paper goes to a lot of different places. And of course, the great news is if you put the right things in the recycling bin, meaning not the diapers, not the Christmas lights, not your old sweater that you don't want anymore, if you put the right things in the recycling bin, we can turn them into wonderful brand new things. So your aluminum can go off and make water bottles, like the bottom corner here. It's called Liberty Bottle Works. They're a fun company. They make water bottles out of recycled aluminum. We've got shirts, like the North Face and a lot of other places make shirts out of recycled #1 plastic. That's the kind that was up and over. There's also companies that make shoes out of the same material. There is a toy company that makes their toys, whether it's a recycling truck, a submarine, an airplane, a fire truck, all kinds of cool stuff out of old milk jugs. And then here's that playground I was talking about. This is Willard Beach in South Portland. If you've never been there, have fun, go play on a playground. And the sign says the whole playground was made out of recycled stuff. So either read that now or go play on the playground and check that out. There's a fun company out in Oregon that makes bicycles out of recycled material. And then finally, the weirdest thing I'm gonna make you think about today is recycled paper toilet paper. So instead of taking trees and cutting them down and making them into toilet paper, we take paper and recycle it and clean it and then make toilet paper out of that. So that way we're saving trees. So the animals get to live there, we get to breathe the oxygen, and they're of course beautiful to look at. So a lot of good things happen when trees are in the ground instead of in toilet paper. So that is a summary of recycling. Just one slide here on compost, because food is not garbage. If you can, please compost it. It makes a wonderful resource for new plants to grow. If you have a new favorite plant or an old favorite plant like strawberries or maple trees or tulips, just think about how great they'll grow if you compost. If you were to put your food in the garbage can, we burn it. Not the best choice. So make sure that you're composting if you can. And there's a lot of different options for that. Because of course, anything you don't reduce, reuse, recycle, or compost goes into the trash, whether it comes to us and we combust it or burn it for electricity, or it goes to what we call a whole trash landfill, which is pretty gross. So we want to make sure that we try and do the right thing with our trash. And just a fun video, this is what we do with our trash. So with our trash, we're combusting it or making it smaller, and also making electricity off of it. And yes, we are making pollution, but then we treat all that, but I go over that in really great detail in the trash only or the trash and recycling webinar. So check those out if you're interested what we do with your trash. So my friends, in summary, if we take your trash and we take out anything that can be reused and give it away, whether it's to our neighbor, our brother, our Goodwill, our Salvation Army, give it away so someone else can use it. We take our recycling out of our trash and put it in the recycling bin. Our plastic, paper, metal, glass, and cardboard. If that stuff gets recycled by ecomaine or someone else, that means we have a lot less trash, which is beautiful. And if we're able to take out the food and compost it, overall, we have much less trash that we're creating, a much healthier earth or environment, and we're reducing our use of natural resources, meaning we're not cutting down trees to make paper and cardboard. We're not mining for metal to make our metal cans and aluminum, etc. And we're not drilling for oil and making the earth a lot more messy. And of course, when we recycle right, we save money. But remember, if you recycle wrong, it's pretty dangerous and scary for the people who work with us. And also it might cost your town a lot more money. So make sure you're looking up the good stuff, whether on our website or on the Recyclopedia. There's also a really fun matching game on there too. So that is the end of our webinar today. I hope you learned a little bit and had some fun watching the videos and things. If you have any questions, we would love to answer them. You can email info@ecomaine.org and we can get back to you. We can answer all your questions. If you have any desire to set up a Zoom call and ask questions, we could do that with some teachers. We would just like to help you however you need help. So hope you have a great rest of your day.